I don't know how everybody else feels, but to me, that was one of the longest ever international breaks. But thankfully, it's the last one until March, and we've got a full winter of QPR action ahead of us now, starting with a home match against fifth placed Hull City. QPR come into the game, of course, without a win in 4 games, but at least we ended the losing streak with a 0-0 draw at Sheffield United before the break. If you can remember much about them afternoon, Dave, did we deserve a point?
Yeah, I think we deserved a point. It was good to end the losing run. There was a point in the second half after about an hour. I thought we'd go on and win it. I thought we were on top at that stage, and we had a couple of chances. Dembele almost scored, and Burrow was causing a few problems. But then we kind of sat off, and we were hanging on, to be honest, the last 10, 15 minutes, and I was just waiting for him to score, to be honest. But you take a point from it. It wasn't the best performance, wasn't the worst. You know, just take the draw and move on. It's like you say, it's ended that run of defeat, so that was the most important thing.
Yeah, I felt we deserved the point. There's no doubt in Sheffield United probably had the better chances, but it wasn't wave after wave of attacks. We had a few moments ourselves. I felt it was a very bitty game, all the constant setting up for set pieces and long throws. I know the goalkeepers and I got that rule where they got 8 seconds, but I think that we need a similar rule for throw-ins because it's annoying how long it's taking every time the ball goes out for a throw-in because both teams are doing it, but all the defenders go up, then they go back, and the match just felt fragmented to me because of that. As for the match, though, I agree. The last 20, 25 minutes, probably the weight of not wanting to lose another match maybe set in for us. And the subs didn't really help us, did they? Julian Stefan
Yeah.
got some things right with his changes, but in the match, before the match, he got things right. I mean, but in the match, I think he was a bit guilty of something we spoke about in the last show where he's making changes to just involve players like Harvey Vale, Michael Frey. They were clearly put on because they'd not had minutes during the week rather than from what they would bring to the game. Some other changes may have helped us get further up the pitch and maybe catch Sheffield United on the counter attack. But there are positives to take from the result. We can reset now, go again, gives us something to build on. It means the narrative isn't about 5, 6, 7 straight defeats, which
Yeah.
it could have easily got to. And a big positive was the clean sheet, confidence boost for the defence, because we've all acknowledged we've been conceding really poor goals in the last few games. And the primary reason for it was Ben Hamer. What are your thoughts, Dave, on his selection, how he did, and is it the end of the road for Paul Nardi?
I mean, it was a bold move. I didn't think he'd make the change, to be perfectly honest. But he's brought him in, and I would say that probably is the end of Nardi. I don't see how, unless you get an injury, I don't see how you go back to him now after this. He looked pretty dejected at the end of the game. Although to be fair to Nardi, he did go and congratulate Hamer at the end. So but he did look down. But Hamer's come in and he's done a decent job. He made a couple of really good saves during the game. He looked calm. I mean, he knows the rules now about the 8 second thing. He didn't seem to know that at the start and give away a corner. But I thought he did pretty well, and he'll probably stay in goal for a bit. I don't think he's the long term answer. I think they will need to do something in January. I think to sort that position out. But yeah, he did fine, and I'll expect him to carry on as the number one from now on.
Yeah, so had I. He commanded his box well. He wasn't scared to be vocal. That header in the first half from Danny Ings' header, I thought that was a superb save. Good one in the second half as well. I do feel a bit for Paul Nardi, but as a club, we went for a goalkeeper more comfortable with the ball at his feet after Asmir Begovic. But the game's changed a lot in the last 15 months that we
Yeah.
talked about there. How many long throws, set pieces, and Ben Hamer was just more comfortable dealing with that. And that's what we need from our goalkeeper at the moment. We don't really need someone who's particularly good at passing it out of the feet. And was Paul Nardi really that exceptional with the ball at his feet? Anyway, probably not. So solid performance from Hamer. If he performs like that every week, maybe they'll wait until the summer when I think it's almost certain Murphy Cooper is going to be given a chance as number one. But at least he's a good stopgap. We just have to hope he can keep performing as he did, man of the match performance. The other change that Julian Stefan made was Jimmy Dunne and Amadou Mbengue switching positions. How did they do for you, and can you see them staying in those positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think right back has been a bit of an issue this year. It doesn't really work with Jimmy Dunn out there. I don't know if he's carrying a knock or just hasn't looked as effective playing out there. And I thought the switch worked quite well. The one thing we've done, and I don't know if it was because we were playing Sheffield United and he was obviously close to moving to them in the summer. He just seemed to be trying to attack everything. Seems to be getting in Cook's way a few times, and I didn't really kind of get what he was doing. He just needs to calm down a little bit. But I think going forward, that's probably what they'll go with, and Bengay on the right and Dunn in the middle, and just try that for a few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Mbengue, as we've all discussed, it can be a danger to himself at centre back.
Yeah.
At least if you make some mistakes out at right back, they shouldn't be as costly. And his pace going forward, he seemed like as an asset out there, didn't he? He can utilise some of his good attributes, bursting down the flank. One cross he put in was David Beckham-esque, so I wouldn't mind seeing a few more of them. I thought Jimmy Dunne was okay. It's probably still his best game for a while, even though he did make a few mistakes. And he should have some confidence back now. He's been part of the Ireland group that's won back-to-back games. So
Yeah.
I think he's actually seemed quite down this season. So maybe he can, like I say, get his confidence back now going forward. Another point of discussion I've seen coming up on social media and all the QPR forums over the international break is that our slide down the table has come as Ilias' chair returned to the side. Is it just a coincidence for you?
I think it is. I think it probably goes back a couple of years to when he come back from the Africa Cup of Nations and we were winning every week. And then when he come in, we started to slide. I don't think it was due to him then, but it's kind of happened again. I actually think he's been playing all right the last few games. There's probably been a lot of other problems in the team rather than chair, but the issue we've got is where to play him. You know, he's on the left some games, he's in the middle some games. They kind of need to try and find somewhere to to get the best out of him. You know, I'm not sure where that's going to be. Julian Stefan seems keen to play the two up front, so where you fit Chair in is difficult. But I don't think the results have particularly been down to him coming back, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a strange thing because he's certainly, for me, not been playing badly personally, but we haven't won any of his 5 starts. We've only won 2 of his last 14 appearances dating back to February. So there's just something in it where we are struggling for whatever reason. Certainly one for the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. For me, when he came on against Swansea, that was his best performance. He was moving the ball quickly. It was 1-2
Yeah.
touch. Once he slows it down, he starts twisting, turning, cutting inside. We lose impetus as a team. And if he can get back to playing quickly and adapt his game a little bit, there's no doubt for me he's still a quality player when he's on the pitch. We do need to get him maybe off set pieces, though. We've not scored from one of his deliveries since February. Not that we score when anyone takes a set piece, to be honest. We do need to improve on that as a team. We've only got one headed goal so far this season, way down the rankings for that. And we have to remember, as a club, that as disappointing as the last month was before the international break, as we slid down the table, we were only this time last year we were bottom with 10 points. We've now got 19 points, relative position of safety, still something to build on. Let's just hope we can do better than tread water all winter. And we start against Hull as the action returns. And I think it's safe to say, Dave, we didn't expect to be sat here talking about a Hull side up in 5th position.
No, definitely not. You look at the teams in the playoffs, you probably wouldn't have put many of them in there at the start of the season. I thought they'd probably struggle. They weren't great last year, were they? But they've done well. They've picked up some good results. They've beaten some good sides as well. So I don't think it's a fluke that they're up there. I think if you're in that position at this stage of the season, you've obviously got something about you. I'm not sure they'll stay there. The division is a bit weird this year. I think there's teams around the middle that are surely, like Ipswich, are surely going to get better and put a challenge together. But they've done really well, and like I say, to be 5th at this stage of the season, it's very unexpected, but fair play to them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our forum predictor had them surviving, but 21st. Gabe Sutton, he's like an EFL expert. He had them 23rd. Clive from Loft for Words, he had them 23rd. So the expectation was there that they were going to struggle. But the manager, Sergei Jakirovic, I think it is, unknown name to most of us, probably even unknown to most Hull fans before the season. He's forged a name for himself in Europe. He's won leagues in Bosnia and Croatia. So he knows how to get teams winning, and he's doing it again. Hull, to me, always one of those teams where they have so many players in and out. You actually have to always take a second look to see who is still there and who's left and who's gone. But he's brought in some players from the Turkish league, he knows. Sometimes it works making all those changes, sometimes it doesn't. On this occasion, it just looks for Hull like they've clicked. They've made some good choices in the transfer market. Are there any standout players for you, Dave?
I think you have to look up front, and Gelder, they got on loan from Leeds. He was there last year as well. He's done pretty well. But they got a lot of good experience in the team, like Egham at the back. I think he's a decent player. That Crooks, he's not regular for him, but he knows the league and he'll do a job for you when he comes in. Obviously, they brought, like I say, he's brought in quite a few of these Turkish players who seem to be doing quite well for him. But they have quite a good blend. It's not been a complete wholesale change. They've got players who know the league and have done well in the league before. So it seems to be working for them so far.
Yeah, I've got in my notes here just that word blend. And it seems like they've got the right blend of experienced championship players, like you've just listed, with exciting talents that have all come in, hit the ground running, and fair play to them. And Gelhart, you just mentioned, we were linked with him heavily last year, so maybe he's one we should have gone for because he's a top scorer there. They are conceding and scoring a lot. They're second only to Coventry for goals scored. They've scored in every game during September and October, but they've let in 24, which is the most outside the bottom three. So maybe they are vulnerable at the back, and let's see what QPR can do. For QPR, it's hard to predict the lineup always at the moment anyway, but always, especially after an international break, and it's a 3 game week. So we know how Julian Stefan's been rotating in each of those situations. After the last international break, when we returned against Millwall, we had Burrell, Hayden, Saito, Coley, Morgan all on the bench. So the precedent is there that they maybe won't start. But back then we were six, and I think now the need for a result has increased this time. If we start at the back, Reece Norrington-Davis couldn't play against Sheffield United. Will he come back in here, or will Sam Field keep his place?
I would have thought he'll come back in if he's fit. I thought Sam Field did a decent job for us at left back, but I think Norrington Davis is the first choice left back. He should be starting. You know, like you say, that this is a difficult team to pick because you just don't know what he's going to do after the national break and with these 3 games. It could be anyone playing, couldn't it?
Yeah, take our boots, we might get a game. But yeah, I suspect Reece Norrington-Davis will come back in, and we've kept 2 clean sheets though when Sam Field's been playing at left back, so it's
Mm,
a tricky one. I don't think Sam Field admittedly left his own half, but he did the job we needed him to do. He gets a lot of stick, doesn't he? But he's a dependable player. I trust him
yeah.
to do a job. Probably harsh to drop him, but I think the natural fit is for Reece Norrington-Davis to return to the side. And Mbengue, he got a knock against Sheffield United, but he's had 2 weeks off, so I think he'll be fine. And I would keep the rest of the defence as it was. I imagine most of us would predict Madsen and Varane in central midfield, but very hard to work out who plays in the forward line and out wide. Nobody's in great form. Selection's very hard to judge. We had Keita Dembele not even on the bench against Ipswich. Starts the week after. Kwame Poku is apparently now available again, but any ideas, Dave, who starts in those forward areas?
I mean, yeah. I mean, just pick a name out of a hat for this one. I mean, it could be any of them really. I think at home, I think Paul Smith can be quite effective for us. Playing on the left or the right, he gets you up the pitch. He's got a lot of energy. As we know, his final ball isn't the greatest, but none of them are delivering with a great final ball at the minute. So maybe start with Smith and maybe Chair on the other side. But I mean, it honestly could be any of them. I think with the travel in the week, I'd be surprised if Burrell starts, but he's in good form at the minute, so you kind of want him involved. Um, but yeah, it's such a difficult one to pick because I think every time the team comes out, I'm shocked every week. Like, oh, I didn't expect him to do that this week. And again, you mentioned Dembele there. I thought he did okay in the last game, so he always seems to be involved, Dembele, so he could start as well.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, Burrell, you feel like he's got to play, regardless of how tired he is, just to maybe try and get an hour out of him. He's the only QPR player who scored between the last
Yeah.
international breaks. Kone's been out of form, but I think at home I'd expect him to start. Like I say, maybe just get an hour out of both of them. Koki Saito didn't even come off the bench against Sheffield United, but he should be fresh. I'd probably predict he might start. He gets the crowd going, gets the crowd into the game, doesn't he? But I don't
Yeah.
think Saito and Chair work in the same team. Harvey Vale in the mix as well. It's really, really hard to predict. Definitely one for the comments. So you think he's going to play, and I bet none of us are right. Whoever he picks, though, I just feel like we need to find some consistency in selection. Don't we? We've got players who are doing really well, then they get rested for the sake of it, and then when they come back in, they don't perform. And Harvey Vale probably is the prime example of that. He was flying. We left him out of a game, and then when he come back in, he wasn't the same player, and that chopping and changing has hurt a few players' form, I think. For QPR as well, we've got to mention that we're 4 without a win at home. We've lost the last 3 at Loftus Road. Not even scored more than one, sorry, in a home game since Charlton at the end of August. So we do need to get back on track at Loftus Road. But it's so close in the league. We're talking about Hull being 5th. If we can beat them, we're only 3 points behind them. Things can change quickly. Can we get 3 points, Dave?
Oh, we definitely can. I think, I think the break will hopefully have done us some good. It does feel like I think we needed the break when it come around. As fans, I was a bit fed up of it. I wanted a couple of weeks off, but I think we can. Whichever selection he goes with, I think we'll have to start quick, and the first goal will be important in this one. But as you said, Hull do give you chances. They don't have a great defensive record. They score quite a few, but they do concede as well. So I think if we can get ahead, we could win this one. I'd recommend maybe 2-1 for this one.
Yeah, I really hope we can get a win. It sets us up nicely for the week ahead. Just again helps us to reset, build the confidence back in. But if I cast my mind back 12 months, this same equivalent match after the international break was Stoke, At the time, we desperately needed a win, sell-out crowd, like it was on will be on Saturday, but it ended 1-1, and I think it's going to be the same this weekend, 1-1. We are a good team if we perform, but Hull are full of confidence themselves, so going to be similarly wet conditions as well. I think to that Stoke match last year. Let us know your predictions in the comments, and it'll be Brian and George on the next show to preview a long midweek trip up to Blackburn. And then next Saturday, it's off to Norwich, and Dave and I will be back to preview that one. Until then, thank you for watching, and come on, you R's.